It is the first Monday of the month. The sales manager at a Dubai property developer opened last month's Meta campaign report. 487 inbound calls, 40,000 dirhams in ad spend. The team walked through all of it, 22 days, every call logged. Then she opens the CRM and counts the qualified leads. 9. Now here's a question most people ask at this point. What's wrong with the targeting? And that will be the wrong question to ask. And I want to explain why, because the answer changes everything about how you fix it. My name is Daria. I work with businesses on what happens when inbound calls reach a human. Who should be dealing with it, when, and what it costs when that process doesn't work. I've been looking closely at inbound call operations for property developers in the Gulf, UAE, Saudi, and Qatar. The pattern is consistent almost everywhere. Large call volume, very low qualified output, and a sales team spending most of its week on calls that will never become transactions. The reason this keeps happening is almost never what people think it is. When you're running paid campaigns for an off-plan project, Meta, Google, portal listing, you advertise to a broad audience. Of the people who call, some are serious buyers. Most are not. The breakdown is roughly this. Roll and 10 callers who misread the ad, budget mismatches who can't afford the project, product mismatches who want something you don't have, and people at the very beginning of a research process that might end up in transaction in 18 months from now, or might not. A well-run campaign with tight targeting might produce to 30% workable leads. Broad audience and portal listings significantly less. The 2% qualified rate isn't unusual for certain campaign types. The point isn't exactly percentage. The point is most of your inbound calls should not be reaching a trained salesperson. They're reaching your team not because they're ready for a human conversation, but because nothing has sorted them out first. That last sentence is the one that matters. When the qualified rate is low, the first instinct is always to look at the campaign. Better targeting, tighter audience, smarter creative. And that's a reasonable instinct. Except it's answering the wrong question. The question people are trying to answer is, how do we get better leads? The question they should be asking is, why are unqualified contacts reaching my sales team at all? These are different problems. And the different matters because they point in opposite direction. If it's a lead quality problem, fix the campaign. Accept that some percentage of inbound callers will never qualify it and optimize to reduce the percentage. You can realistically move from 2 to 4, maybe even 5%. Real but limited. If it is triage problem, fix where qualification happens. Accept that you'll always have a mixed inbound volume and move the sorting function upstream before a trained salesperson is getting involved. Most operations treat this as a lead quality problem, but it isn't. The evidence is simple. Even when targeting improves, the same ratio holds. You get 4% qualified instead of 2%. Your team is still spending 96% of their day on calls that won't convert. The campaign got better, the structure didn't change. A well-qualified buyer and a budget mismatch arrive on the same phone line and reach the same person. That person has to process both in real time without knowing which one is which before they pick up the phone. That's not a targeting failure, that's a triage failure. The sorting is happening too late by most expensive people you have for the job. Here's what I mean by too late. Your sales agent is a specialist. Their job is to develop relationship with people who can actually buy. Instead, a significant portion of their day is spent performing basic qualification, asking someone their budget and timeline before realizing in the first 90 seconds that they don't fit. That function doesn't require a specialist or a training. It requires a process. And it's happening at the wrong point. Here's why this persists. The cost of unqualified call doesn't appear anywhere in the standard reporting as a cost. Your ad platform shows cost per lead. It counts every inbound call as a lead. It doesn't know whether the call had commercial value. Your CPL looks like it's working. Your CRM shows calls handled and activity. Conversion rate is calculated against total value. 2% of 500 looks the same as 20% of 50 in most dashboards views. Your sales team's KPIs are calls logged and spent to first response. Those metrics reward volume. None of them distinguish between a call with a real potential and one with none. And the salary of the sales agent who spent Tuesday morning on 47 calls, 44 of which went nowhere, that cost sits in HR, not in marketing, and it's never connected to the campaigns that generated the volume. The result? This doesn't look like a problem in any single dashboard. Volume looks healthy, activity looks high, conversion looks disappointing. but that's attributed to the market or the team. The actual issue that your qualification is happening too late at too high of a cost doesn't appear as a line item anywhere. This is why it persists in operation after operation, not because people aren't paid attention. Because the reporting they have measures what happened, not what should have happened differently. When this gets raised internally, the responses are predictable. Tighten the targeting, qualified rate improves from 2 to 4%. Your team is still handling 470 unqualified calls. The structure didn't change. Add the qualification form. Some visitors fill it in. Direct callers don't. Portal listen callers don't. Volume drops slightly at the margins. Hire more agents so qualified calls don't get missed in the noise. This at headcounts to compensate for the problem rather than addressing it. The ratio stays the same. The cost goes up. Every one of these treats the symptom. None of this changes the point at which qualification happens. Let me put a number on what this actually costs. 500 inbound calls per month. One sales agent fully loaded at 6,000 dirhams per month. That's 12 dirhams per call, regardless of whether the call has any commercial value. At 2% qualified, 10 qualified conversations. 600 dirhams per qualified call, handling calls only. Add 40,000 dirhams in media spent. Total 46,000 dirhams to generate 10 qualified conversations. 4,600 dirhams qualified call all in. Now, a qualified call has expected commission value in the range of 8,000 to 16,000 dirhams at standard Dubai of planned commission rates. The economics are technically positive. 4,600 dirham cost and 8,000 to 16,000 dirhams value. But the positive margin assumes one thing, that every qualified call reliably reaches a member of your team. It assumes none of them are missed because your agent was on a call 394, which turned out to be job inquiry. That assumption is where the model breaks. I've made a separate video that runs this calculation in full. Every assumption shown, every number sourced. I'll link it directly below this video. Before you adjust any campaign or change any process, do one thing. Find out what's actually in your call volume. Not from the ad platform, from the calls themselves. Take a sample of last month's inbound, 50 calls, if that's manageable, or 100. Have someone listen and categorize each one. Right intent, right product fit, right intent, wrong fit, wrong intent entirely, too early in the process to be workable. And calculate this distribution. That number is what you're actually dealing with. Because if 80% of your calls are wrong intent or clear product mismatch, the conversation you need to have is about triage, about where in the process these calls are being sorted and whether that point can move earlier. 3 things from this video. 1. A low qualified rate on inbound property calls is almost never a targeting problem. Targeting improvements are real but limited. They move the ratio that don't change the structure. The structural question is whether qualification happens and who does it. 2. The cost of this invisible in standard reporting. Dashboards measure activity and volume. None of them show what percentage of your team's day went to calls that could never convert. 3. The standard responses all treat the symptom. Tighter targeting, more agents, better forms. None of them move the sorting function upstream. One question before you go. What's your actual qualified call rate from your main inbound campaign? If you're tracking it, drop it in the comments. I want to understand the variation across market and campaign types. And please subscribe. New videos coming every week. And if you know someone running inbound sales, a developer dealing with this, share it. Most people have felt this problem. Thank you so much and goodbye.